Welcome, everyone. We'll just wait 1 minute to let everyone in the room. Awesome. I think everyone's in now. So we'll begin the session today. First of all, thank you for joining us today for this Payday Super webinar. Just to get the ball rolling, just to let you know, this session will be recorded and will be sent out and distributed to everyone. So feel free, if you've got any throughout the presentation, to put in the chat, but this will be sent out after today's Payday Super session. So really quickly, we've got myself and John Arrigo, part of our business development team here at Microkeeper. We'll run through the session today for Payday Super and what to understand. Cool. Today's agenda will sort of follow, we'll run through what is Payday Super and what is changing. We'll also run through any key dates and deadlines that you need to be aware of. We'll also run through sort of what is changing in Microkeeper to accommodate for Payday Super and how that sort of fits in with our Beam integration for super clearing. And then lastly, we'll sort of run through what you need to do before July for next month. Any questions, just ask throughout in the chat. And then at the very end, if you want to stick around, we'll also run through a bit of an update on what's happened, in Microkeeper over the last few months and what is coming up next in Microkeeper. But I'll leave it to John to sort of run through the Payday Super part. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Ren. Appreciate it. And as Ren said, if you do have any questions as we go through Payday Super and what it's all about, feel free to add them through to the chat system. We've got one of our super and pay experts, Dill, there awaiting your questions, and he can answer them on the fly as we go. So, hey, what is Payday Super? What's this all about? What does it mean? And what do we need to know? So obviously, Payday Super is all about paying our employees per pay cycle. So each pay cycle that we do within Microkeeper, we will need to contribute, obviously, super to our employee superannuation funds. There is now a due date on that of 7 business days after the payroll has been run. So that's 2 key components. We're now doing payroll every single pay cycle, and we have a 7-day window to submit that super into the superannuation fund. And the final piece that's good to know is anyone who is currently using the small business superannuation clearinghouse, that clearinghouse is being officially closed as of 30th of June. And so you won't be able to use that now, and everyone has to move to a platform like Microkeeper to obviously complete your Payday Super obligation. So what's actually changing? What are the big things that we need to know? What do we need to consider? And what's going to be the impact of it to our businesses? So the first thing is what we spoke about just a little bit earlier on, which is our 7-day payment window. So obviously, unlike in the past where we've had our monthly or our quarterly options, we now have a specific due date of 7 days after the pay cycle is done for our standard employees to pay their superannuation and it to be in the superannuation fund designated or delegated by that individual. Our qualified earnings is now what replaces ordinary time earnings or the broader definition, and now commissions and some of the sell-sack arrangements are added into that. We've got a faster processing, so super clearinghouses, such as Beam, now have to clear the funds in 3 business days to allocate the contribution, and that's down from what originally was obviously 20. So we've got to get that money into the employee fund in a considerably quicker time. We do have a consideration though for new employees. So if it is a new employee and this only applies to their first pay run, we do have a 20-day grace period, and we do have verification required for the NVR before the first payment. So we need to consider that as well. The annual contribution base, so that's being shifted now to an annualised amount. It's expected to be around that 250,000 for FY27. So that's changed from obviously our bases that were once quarterly as well. Our MVR, so member verification request, are now mandatory before the first contribution for any of our new staff. So just bearing in mind that it may add an additional check before our employees go to our first payroll or their first payroll within the system, that we need to do that member verification, prior. So that request has to be done prior. So what are our key dates? We need to think about this, and we should be thinking about this prior to our first pay run. Is obviously our last recommended date to use the Small Business Super Clearinghouse was 28th of April. So obviously for a hard close as of the 30th. So we won't be able to use that anymore. So it's a time that we should be moving into a new system or have that activated and ready to go. Obviously Payday Super commences with that 7-day rule as of the 1st of July. So if you do have a pay run that, might end on the, pay period that might end on the 1st or the 2nd, you are now included in this new role. So our first pay run as of the start of the financial year, Payday Super does apply with that 7-day rule. So we need to consider that, and we need to ensure that we're adhering to those Payday Super obligations and processing that super each pay cycle. Our number 4, so the final quarterly payment. So obviously if you have been running quarterly payments for superannuation, we do have still till the 28th of July to submit that final quarter. So Q4, you still have to the 28th, but that does not override Payday Super. So it's not to say that we can start Payday Super as of the 1st and we still have to the 28th to do Payday Super as well. No, it's not that. This is purely rounding out last financial year. So we have to the 28th to pay our final quarter in alignment with those rules of the previous financial year. But obviously in real time, we will be running during that month of July, we'll be running Payday Super and having the due dates as stated within the obligation. So yeah, bearing in mind, we do have that first quarter to the 28th, but as I said, Payday Super does start from the 1st. So what's new in your pay run? This is a really nice round out, which I will show you in a moment. But basically, we have a new 4th step. So everyone is obviously well tuned and seeing steps 1 through 3. So you've got obviously your ABA and distribution of your pay slips to your staff members, being that sort of phase 1 or step 1. Step 2 is submitting STP within Microkeeper for those of you who are currently doing it. Step 3 is exporting all that data to your accounting engine to the GL codes. So none of those steps do change, but we do have an additional step, which you guys may have seen in Microkeeper. It says coming soon. This is Payday Super. This will be active and available for that first pay run, which will enable you to process. There has been a couple of other changes on the pay runs page, additional pills to enable you to see statuses of your super contribution. Again, I'll get to this during the next walkthrough of it. So yeah, there is this new step 4. You'll get to know what it's all about and how we process super for the group or cohort of staff members, as well as any returns and skipped staff. If there is any missing information, we'll go through all of that in this run through in the next stage. So let's see this in action without any further ado. So the first thing is we've got that step 4, which we spoke about earlier on. On this page here, we do have our log of our processors, members, and our refunds. What we now see is our new pay runs page with that additional pill that I spoke about, and we can see what the status of the super is. So this is our new looks pay run page. We do obviously have this as well on our current pay run page for anyone who is on the older view, which is this one here. As you can see, there is an updated column for superannuation contribution and where it's at within the cycle. So how do we process it? Well, really simply, we go through to our pay slips and we complete the pay run. We then move through our steps, but obviously once we hit step 4, which is our Payday Super, we get to this page as we spoke about earlier on. Now, we do have a process log, and this will tell you what you've done already and the success. We also have our members, and if there are any errors or the like within a super processing, and we also have any refunded or skipped employees that'll be listed here for further processing if we get to it. So let's start a new super submission. So we can click on new super submission. Obviously, we want to confirm that our pay cycle is correct, our pay runs, our pay period, and our payment date is all correct. And we do have a couple of options. So option 1 is new staff, which is what we recommend you do each time. We can also then revert to staff without errors. So if you've got some errors with staff, we can process the ones that don't. And then we also have a manual selection if we so need. But in this example, we're going to process the recommended, which is all staff as expected. So the first thing we're going to see is we're going to see all of the funds we pay into with all of the staff members within those funds and the amounts here. One of the big things that we need to check when we are processing super is the total. So we want to ensure that this total here is what we're getting in the process. So if there are any errors when we do try, it will highlight it up here at the top, and we can either submit the super without the staff that have errors, and we can continue, or we can fix that individual. So let's continue. Let's submit every staff member that doesn't have any errors. So we can click the submit button. We want to check the bank details. So let's check the bank details and let's check the amount that is on this particular report and confirm it. Once we confirm it, we can click the review button, which is going to review all the information, and then we can obviously process the super once all the validation has been done in a correct fashion. What we can see in this particular example is that we do have a warning for one particular staff member that there is an error here, which obviously we can then log back into our process log once we've processed the original, and we can see if there are and what the problems are by mousing over the pills. So let's have a look at what that looks like on the pay runs page. This is this one here. We can mouse over again the pill that's going to tell us what's going on and what the errors or warnings are within this particular log, as well as the status. So what we're going to do now is we're going to navigate back into the individual pay run with our log, just like this, and we are going to process a staff member that obviously did have an error. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at someone in the example of a refund. So if we do have a refunded staff member that's come back, obviously it'll alert us to this on the pay runs page, and we can see it again by mousing over the pill. We can also click the link within the pill, and it'll take us directly to obviously that individual staff member, like this here under our refund section. We can then select which particular staff member we want to do the contribution for, in this case, him, and we can obviously redo their super contribution. So once we come to this report, again, very similar to what we saw earlier on, we can see the amount that we can confirm and the individual. We can then obviously review this amount, and we can click the Pay Super button. So it's that easy when you've got someone that has been obviously refunded. Obviously, we can reprocess them very quickly. We can see that that's happened in the process log, and then again on the pill as well. That pill will change to contributed once everything has moved through in a successful manner, and obviously you can see that again by mousing over that it obviously has been processed, and we're obviously in full account that everything has been done in accordance with our super processing. So as a sort of end-to-end, that's sort of how we would process superannuation within the Microkeeper platform at the end of the step 4 of our payment process. Obviously, we can see it is quite straightforward. You can, if you do have errors, fix them on the spot. If you don't have the information, we can skip it for later on. And then if there is a refund or there is staff members that have errors that you have updated, we can then move through the process and pay those outlying staff once we have all of the information through that reprocess component, as well as ensure that each time we are running a pay run, we can see the super pill that it is in obviously a contributed phase. So if we do have errors, or we do have something that is still pending our action, we can see that very clearly on that pay run page that we are revisiting each pay cycle. So what we now want to consider is, how does our clearinghouse fit within this superannuation process? So obviously Beam is the clearinghouse that Microkeeper use, and the biggest thing is we initiate the contribution through the pay run. So that step 4 of initiating the steps is all done in system on the pay run page. So there's no extra logins and there is no manual steps. Obviously, all of that error handling, which we just saw in action, the resubmissions, etc., is all managed automatically. So keeping everything running smoothly and everyone on track. Again, you heard me speak about the member verification request for new employees. That is mandatory under the new rules, and obviously we can do that all through the clearinghouse. We do have extensive guides and setup on how to do this. So if you aren't connected to Beam as of yet, obviously we can step you through that process and make you Payday Super ready. So 3 things what we need to do before July 26. So if you haven't got a Beam account active within your Microkeeper system, you need to connect Beam. Now, if you already have a Beam account within Microkeeper and have been submitting superannuation through Microkeeper quarterly or monthly or the like, you do not have to reset it up. It will work seamlessly. This is only for people who do not have a Beam account existing. So any new clients, you have to set up a Beam account inside Microkeeper, and then obviously it will flow through to the pay run. Audits. It's probably as good time as any to actually check everyone off, because this is something that we need to ensure is correct for our first pay cycle. So checking the funds, checking the members, TFNs for every employees, because obviously any gaps here are going to cause us issues on our first pay. And obviously we do now have that hard limit of 7 days to have that payment contributed to the superannuation fund. So it is a good time to have a quick check, make sure everything is in alignment. All of our, say, I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, just to make sure that there is no gaps. And so Payday Super can flow through really cleanly that first time we need to do it. We also can fix any missing information, so we're not doing it last minute. You know, obviously, let's prepare early, make sure that everything's done so that when we do, we're not scrambling. So as we said, doing an audit of all the employee super details, and then let's action it. Let's fix it so we don't scramble in the first pay run of the start of the financial year. And you'll be ready, you'll be prepared, you'll be ready to go, and everything will run really smoothly. So Further on, I'm going to hand back to Ren. This would sort of conclude the formalities of Payday Super in this webinar, and I thank everyone for coming and their questions and the like. Ren's going to take us through some updates, what Microkeeper has released over the last few months, as well as coming in the next couple of weeks and into the new financial year, Q1. So please hang around, have a listen. I think it's really well worth it. Thanks so much, Ren.
Thanks, John. And yeah, really great to get an update on Payday Super and how that impacts in Microkeeper and our users. Just a reminder, you can send through a question in the chat. So I believe someone raised their hand, but if you've got a question, feel free to add it to the chat. Our team will answer your questions in our chat. Alternatively, we've got our support team, post this session to answer any questions via phone or via ticket as well. So got the opportunities to connect and get a real understanding of Payday Super. We're available to help assist with this transition in Microkeeper where we can. But what is exciting in Microkeeper, obviously we've had a lot of changes. Payday Super is one of them. It is a major change, compliance change that we had to develop for our users. But in addition to that, we've had a really big last 12 months, and we've done a lot of changes within the system, which includes a big overhaul in our UI UX system. So what we've done is we've refreshed a lot of what you've seen in the system. Hopefully you guys can appreciate the work that the team has done to clean up the platform, to make the flow really feel nice and user friendly. So we are continually improving in this space, and we'll continue to update the UI UX of the platform. Where that led us to was a bit of an upgrade to our control panel, and we introduced our dashboard. So hopefully you guys have been using our dashboard and have utilized sort of that real-time data within our dashboarding when we're looking to add more data and add more points within that dashboard as well. But we've had some really great feedback from clients, and they're really loving sort of that real-time data and that real great visual information on our dashboard. In addition to that, we've also updated our employee console. So we've tried to improve our employee experience. So we've categorized the items in there. Now you've got tabs within the system. You can go in and out of those tabs, and it's a better experience for your employees to be utilizing our app and our employee console, our employee self-service. A big feature that we've added in over the last 6 months has been our multi-ABN and multi-cycle functionality. So it's a huge project for us and some requirements from our enterprise clients. So if you are interested in this functionality, definitely do reach out to our support team and our tech team. They'll be able to sort of guide you on what is available in terms of options under our multi-ABN and multi-cycle. So traditionally, you had to have multiple Microkeeper accounts for multiple ABNs, but we have redesigned and had a huge update in our platform to be able to facilitate multiple ABNs in the one account. So a really big project for our dev team. And I guess another big project for us was our timesheet V2. So version 2, potentially a lot of you are still currently using our legacy timesheet page, but we've actually added a new version of that. And we encourage you to test that new timesheet page. There's a lot more functionality in terms of approve all buttons, being able to filter it more powerfully and visually. It is a lot cleaner and a lot better. So I'll encourage you all to view that timesheet version 2 if you can, and if you are using our timesheets module. And then another big sort of development that we've done is our sort of payroll V7. So we've added a lot more functionality within that payroll engine. So definitely reach out to our tech team if you are interested in learning what is available in our payroll V7 engine. So that's what we've been working on over the last 6-12 months. And what is exciting is a few projects that we're currently working on for this calendar year, which includes a big overhaul in our HR module. So We know that is something that a lot of our clients are looking for, is sort of more features and more functionality within our HR platform. So a big release that is coming out very shortly is a new messaging tool within the platform. So now you're able to message directly within platform, direct to individual employees or individual people within your business. We can also add in what we call channels or group messaging. So you have the ability to do bulk messaging to a group of employees, and we do sync that with your current grouping, so we can connect to your current settings within your group settings. So really powerful tool, and there is a lot more functionality within that messaging as well, where we can add in media, tables, and emojis and things like that. You can react to those messages too. So a really full-fledged messaging tool within your employee console. And then in addition to that, we are also developing and introducing a news feed or billboard sort of style messaging functionality for admin as well. So really exciting space within our messaging. And then part of that sort of HR development as well is a major update to some of our HR configuration within our system. So I know a lot of you will be familiar with our skills and files module, which allows you to build custom HR documents within the platform, but we are actually adding in that customization and that sort of builder within our personal files area as well. So now you can create those documents really bespoke to your client, to your employees, and you can build it individually for individual employees. And in addition to that, we're actually building a form builder as well. So now we've got the ability to build a form, whether that's a performance review form or a survey and things like that. So huge updates within our HR module, and a lot to sort of look forward to in this second half of this year. But they're the real big projects that we're working on. We're obviously still working on a lot of payroll stuff. So we'll always continue on working on payroll, but there's a real big push for HR. So I would, would love to get some feedback on these new features. Always reach out to our tech team when releases come out, and if you've got any feedback on it, or if there's anything you'd like to see within the platform, we're always open to those suggestions as well. So really exciting second half of the year. We're really looking forward to supporting our customers. And then we thank you for today's time. So as we mentioned, this has been recorded, and we will send this through as a capture for Payday Super information. We've got guides available online as well, and our support team will be available to chat through the changes that we've made. And we look forward to serving our customers in further. And we thank you for your time and your support using Microkeeper. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, guys.